Hello again, and welcome to the Master's Voice. I'm Celestial, and you are welcome to this channel. To old and new subscribers alike, you are very welcome. I'm going to be reading and sharing a prophetic message, a dream that the Lord gave me on November the 29th, 2023. This dream is talking about a time of global calamity that is coming to every nation. What is being described in this prophecy is not specific to the United States. God was showing me that overwhelming times that will come upon the earth exactly like or almost like a flood, those times are coming, and only those who are rooted in the Lord Jesus Christ will be able to withstand it. When I say withstand it, I'm not meaning that you will keep your feet. I'm not meaning that your life will stay exactly the way it is, because what God is saying here is that everything that we know as life today, the structures we have, the setup that we have, the way we have individual countries and separate national governance, and we have our separate languages and customs and cultures and peoples, tribes, tongues, nations are who they are. All of that is going to be dissolved, and is going to be dissolved because of something that primarily will be economic downturn, economic meltdown, that will not leave any nation the way it is, and that will not leave any person untouched or unchanged. The title of this prophecy is A Flood is Coming. A Flood is Coming, November 29th, 2023. So I dreamt that I was in this very big auditorium. I thought it was an auditorium. It looked like an auditorium, except that it didn't have the requisite bleacher seating. It didn't have chairs going up in a tiered outward V shape, or sometimes exactly like a stadium. To those who may not know about the bleachers and everything, just the way a stadium is, how a stadium is big. This thing was a square box. I found myself in a massive square box. When I say massive, I was such a small shape at the bottom of this thing. So I'm on the bottom of it. It's got four sides, four very high walls. And at first I thought, this is a gym or this is an auditorium that I'm in. And because it was so big, I thought, okay, maybe this is one of the richer stadiums, or maybe one of the bigger gyms that the affluent high schools can afford. And so I was given a very long broom. I was given an exceptionally long broom. The broom was stories high, but I was holding this broom, and a voice said to me from on high, "Scrape the walls of this place. Clean all of it." So that was the instruction I was given. Scrape the walls of this place, clean all of it. And then I looked around in disbelief, because this place is massive. It's going to take me time just to walk along one wall, and then time to walk along the other wall. And then this voice is telling me to scrape the entire walls. And why do the walls need to be scraped? The walls need to be scraped because there is this gross, gunky, gray filth on the walls. So I can't see what texture the walls are, but the whole box is gray. I don't know if it's gray mold or lichen, or just, it looked a little bit like that horrible crud that builds up in the shower when you don't clean the shower walls for a while, that gray film, but it was thicker than that. And I'm thinking, how am I going to clean this entire place? And the broom I had was so long, so it was very unwieldy, and it looked a little wobbly because the broom was going up into the sky, up to the lip of this auditorium that I'm in. The auditorium did not have a roof. So I'm looking at how tall the wall is, but I just think, well, I've received my instruction, so let me come and start, even though the broom looks unstable and the walls are very large. And so what I did was, I went to one wall, because I've heard the Lord, and I got to work. I went to one wall, and I maneuvered the broom, and I put it on the wall. So the broom is touching the wall at the very top of this open roofless box. So I made sure that it was lined up with the very edge, and then I brought it down in one strong sweep. And when I brought it down, to my surprise, everything came off on the first try. And the broom, it had joints and it looked collapsible. But from my perspective, I just thought this thing just looks like a couple of broomsticks put together. But the broom was surprisingly strong, sturdy. I brought it down in one sweep and it immediately cleaned the wall. And right behind that horrible gray crud, everything that came off, was a section of gleaming blue tile. And I thought, oh, so it's not wall, it's actually tile. Sparkling blue tile. I did it again next to it, exactly the way the window cleaners clean, and again and again. And before, I thought, okay, I can get a rhythm to this. I can do this. Let me start doing it. And the tile was getting cleaned section by section. Sometimes I would skip a little bit of the wall and I would move and I would say, let me clean this. And then I looked back and I see something very strange. The tile that I've cleaned is leaking water. It looked exactly the way if you were small enough to be in your bathtub and you're pouring water and the water's maybe running along the edge of the tub. It looks like that. Water started coming out of this clean blue tile, this clean blue wall. And I found that so peculiar. And so I had this sense of urgency. I'm finishing the sections, but I haven't finished an entire wall. And then I moved to the wall here and I moved to the wall here and I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to scrape. And just a moment, please. And I actually thought of my broom. I've got a good broom. I can depend on this broom. I'll do the work. But with the leaking of the clean tiles, the gray parts were not leaking. Please listen to this because all of it is relevant. The gray parts of the wall were not leaking. And there was still more gray of the wall than blue, meaning that I had not yet managed to even get to the back wall at all. And then I saw something else. I looked up past the top of this square box roofless auditorium and I saw that I could see right up into the sky. I saw that we were under a dome. The sky, the clouds, all of it, the fluffiness, the birds, was under a dome. The sky was not flat. My eyes were opened by God, and I saw that behind the clouds, there was a dome above us, and behind that dome was water. A great, immense expanse of water, surging water, blue water, and worst of all, at the end of the dome, at the piece that was, I guess you could say, closest to me, rather than being far at the back of where it would be curving, I saw that one section of the dome was coming loose and was now, water was gathering there and starting to seep one drop by one drop into what looked like a kind of seal. So the dome comes, and then there was a seal there, and I saw that water was beginning to seep in, not seep into the sky where we are, but seep into that seal that was under the dome, keeping it closed against the sky and keeping all that water that was behind falling out of the sky, was keeping the water behind. And I jerked with shock and surprise when I saw that. And I said in this dream, oh no, there was water beneath and water above the firmament. There is water behind the sky. But still in all this, I did not stop cleaning the walls because the sense of urgency on me was so great that I knew I had to finish the work that I had been given, but I was not able to finish the work. Something like a flood broke loose from one broad section of the wall that I had managed to clean, and then another avalanche broke off from another section. So anywhere that I had scraped one after another, like maybe 5 or 6 scrapes like that, water burst out of the wall. It was no longer seeping, because when it was seeping, it was pooling around my feet, but now it began to burst out like a curving avalanche, like a waterfall. And they were bursting out now in this place at different section, and it all started cascading into the middle. And that's when I realized, and I said out loud, this is not an auditorium. This is not a gym. This is a pool. I am in a pool, and the time has come for the flood. And as soon as I said that, it was almost as if the water was listening or whatever. It burst out even more now. I mean, gushing out, whoosh, whoosh, coming out in curves at all the places that I had meant to clean. And the water simply became a funnel at the bottom, and it just grabbed me up. And I was tightly holding onto my broom. It grabbed me up and started to fill up this entire area that I now realized it's a pool. And so I am talking about now a surging thing. Baby tsunamis coming out of the wall on all sides. And the water is swirling up, taking me now, filling up the pool, taking me up to the top. And I was singing a song as I was going up, and I was also watching the sky and seeing that the water behind the dome was also agitated, and it was swirling, and it came into my heart that the water is surging according to the times. And I became so afraid that that little part, that little piece, that weakness that I saw was going to lift up or break. And I knew eventually this thing will break. It will break, and it will pour down floods upon us, even as we are going up in floods. And it will join this water in the pool. And when these two waters join, waters from above and waters from beneath, this entire world will be carried away by the worst times that have ever existed since the days of Noah's flood. And the song that I was singing in the dream, the same melody over and over as this water was swirling around me. I'm not going to sing it, but here are the words that were coming out of me as I clutched tightly to my broom and the water carried me helplessly. I told you. I told you so. I told you what would happen. Why didn't you listen? Why didn't you listen to me? Because I told you. It's here now. The flood is coming. It's here now. Why didn't you listen? Why didn't you listen to me? And that is the dream I had. God putting me in a very dirty gray box and saying, clean these walls, scrape them clean. And that is the work that I have been doing here at the Master's Voice Prophecy blog ever since May 2019. I have been receiving these prophecies from the Lord ever since the year 2012, when the Lord said to me, my daughter, I want you to prepare me a people fit to meet me. And I've never hidden what I've been doing here. It's a very dirty box that God put me in. A nation filled with filth, filled with hard-hearted people who deny responsibility for sin. Some justify the sin and say it's not really sin, it's lifestyle preferences, and you shouldn't force your opinion on others. This is just among a small cross-section of the things that I have heard for the years that I have been here. That dirt on the wall is sin on the surface of the human heart. And the broom that God gave me is these prophecies, also the nature that he gave me when he said to me, you will be enough, even against all of them. Go and read the book of Jeremiah. The Lord told him that he would make him an iron pillar and a fortified wall, even against the whole nation. And that's what the Lord said to me. Plant your foot in me, and you will not be moved, because whether they listen or whether they are rebellious, they will know that my prophet has been in their midst. The flood is coming, and I did not manage to clean every wall. That crud is sin. That crud is the wickedness that takes place in this nation and is mirrored around the world. The evil that is beamed out in 1,000 music videos. You claim to be a Christian, and yet the lyrics that you repeat out of your mouth are foul and filled with 4-letter words. And then you will take that same mouth and go and start asking God to do stuff for you, to heal your child, to help you with the bills, to give you a better job, to find you a husband or a wife. And yet the inside of the human heart has no love for God. And he gave me what looked small and unstable and ridiculous. Tell them about the political dirt, and tell them about the end times creatures that are not myths but really exist. You come to this blog and you hear all the different topics, and your mind begins to struggle and tell yourself, well, which of it is true? All of it is true.